Thanks for joining me today for this Q&A. I would love to talk to the filmmakers about their different films, but I think the best way for us to begin is to maybe introduce ourselves. Romain, I'm going to start with you because you're the only person on your team for See You Garbage. Tell me a little bit about what your film is and tell me your role in the production.
So nice to meet you guys. My name is Romain Dumont. I'm a screenwriter and director of See You Garbage, which was inspired by a real event that happened in the 1970s in France with the President Valéry Giscard d'Estaing, who decided to invite three garbage men at the Élysée for a Christmas dinner. And when I read that in Paris Match, which is kind of like a Star magazine, I already knew that I had a good movie, I think. So yeah, I've decided to write something like that, but that happened in Quebec.
All right, thanks for that synopsis. Team in the fray. This is going to be a tough one because there's four of you. So let's randomly start with how about Allison? Tell us about the film and your role in it.
Okay, it's a short animated film. We began the film, actually making the film in May of 2021. And like I said, it's an animated film, but it's made originally from the music that was composed by Solas here in the room. And it was in response to the music, a kind of synesthesia response to the music, because I see timbre chromesthesia, which means I see shapes and forms in space when I hear sounds. So the piece was actually developed from the music itself and inspired by the music.
So Solas, I think that's your turn to talk and tell us about your role in the production.
Absolutely. So I part of the process for writing the music for this piece was meeting with Allison. So myself and another composer, Paul Sukin, he did another project with Allison along the same lines. And so we sort of met with Allison to talk about the possible mappings from sounds to the visual responses that Allison experienced, and then having that kind of legend or mapping out, if you will, then I was able to take those and use them as possible motives or ideas to build a piece around and to think, okay, what's going to create some interesting combinations of sounds and visuals.
Thank you. And Dean, tell me a bit more about what your role was in this production.
Well, I'm head of the Department of Music at the University of Saskatchewan and the artistic director of the Saskatoon Jazz Orchestra. In both of those roles, but in particular the SJO, we're always looking for interesting ways to present concerts. And, you know, there's lots of different ways of combining visual arts and the arts in general with music concerts. We've done a variety of projects. But when I heard from my friend and colleague, Allison Glenn, that she has synesthesia, like, it was very of great interest to me, both personally and professionally. I'm always interested in how people experience concerts, experience music, right? You intend to communicate something, but then what people receive is something very different, and you often don't know what people are perceiving. If I say, you know, this is pink, and you say you agree that this is pink, okay, we've agreed, but I have no way of telling whether your perception of pink is the same as mine. So this concert, this project really was speaking to Allison and her unique way of perceiving the world as a synesthete. She's as a visual artist and as a person with music training. It just seemed, and a colleague, it just seemed like a great connection here. So I played on the recording along with a bunch of other people. Silas not only wrote the music, but he mixed the virtual recording. And I guess my piece of it here is I kind of orchestrated the original project in terms of playing a concert. We haven't played that concert yet. We will be, and we'll be showing Allison's film when we play the concert. But it was a joy and delight for me to play a small role in this and to connect people like Allison with people like Silas Friesen and Paul Sukin, who did another project with her.
That's great. And finally, Shelby, tell me how did you come to this project and what is your role?
Yeah, so I have worked with Allison off and on for a number of years. I started working with Allison in 2014 during my undergraduate degree. So I'm an artist, a visual artist. And yeah, so I was working for Allison I started working for her again at the end of 2020 and then throughout 2021. And she told me that she had a couple of animation projects. So normally the work I had been doing for her was in her studio with painting. So this was something new. And so my role was just working on the animation portion for the film. And I really feel like I just got to be along on this beautiful ride. So that's kind of, yeah, I really feel that it was just kind of this spontaneous thing that I got to do that I'm not sure I ever would have gotten to do otherwise. So yeah.
That sounds amazing. So Allison, can you briefly talk about, I know film in general is a very collaborative medium. We say this all the time, but like, I don't know how a project like this comes together without that collaboration. Can you just sort of, I guess, speak about the importance of it in this particular piece for you?
Well, the animation was done using a method called rotoscoping, and which is a really tedious drawing method. And although there's quite a few scenes that look digital, a lot of them were actually done hand drawn. And so I guess that's the surprise of the film, but at the same time, it's a really laborious process of developing something like this. And I guess you could say there was approximately 6,000 to 7,000 drawings done for this particular short film. It's 8 minutes, so it kind of gives you an idea of how much labor. So it's really important, in terms of the animation part, that I had people like Shelby. I also had Lucy Zhao and Nicole Leroy, who helped me develop the scenes. Shelby was actually the lead, you could say the lead on the animations for this particular project. So she did, I listed her as first because she did probably the most amount of animations for this particular film. In terms of the collaborative process, this whole thing wouldn't have happened had I not had such a wonderful composer like Silas be so open-minded to take feedback from me and develop a composition around that. And from what I understand, it's the kind of composition that he normally wouldn't have otherwise made. And so, it's a big risk for him. It's also a big risk for the Saskatoon Jazz Orchestra to record their music in the way that they did, which was all virtual and independently from each musician and then mixed together. So there was a lot of, you could say, risk taking from everybody who participated in the project.
That's great. Romain, I don't want to leave you out of the conversation here. Let's talk about the whole creative process in terms of your film. How did you go about collaborating with your film team? Especially, I'm sure this happened during COVID. So what were the challenges, the hurdles?
Actually, we shot just before COVID, so we were really lucky. I'm always working with my DP Antoine Ryan, which is like my main collaborator for the movie I've made before. Also, I'm like I'm harassing him like 10 times a week. I'm calling him to like just tell him some ideas and stuff, and he was really liking this idea. So I've wrote this, and after that we're like working together for like a few months. Antoine and myself really like to do like I don't know about like the do-it-yourself movies. We don't want to get any like institutions money or stuff. So Antoine put money, and I've sold pretty much everything that I had in my apartment to do so. And we've auto-financed it, and it was pretty fun. And actually, it had a bit of an impact for the story, because I was writing knowing that like, yeah, I was selling my apartment on eBay mostly to do so. Every scene, every like dialogue, I need to be really minimalistic. Yeah, so it was pretty much it, and I have like great collaborators also at the art direction, the Catherine Capeltier. I'm working with her since a long time also. So it's really like just a bunch of friends trying to do the best movie. And
That's
yeah, sorry.
I was just gonna say that's amazing. I mean, it sounds like what you're saying to me is that you just make short films out of pure passion, and that's just incredible to me. Like, can you talk about a bit about the challenge of doing that though, in terms of your creative approach and how it maybe made it more difficult?
Um, I don't know if it's more difficult. Sometime like you know, you just feel like kind of an asshole to ask like everything to everybody, because you know you don't really pay them what they should be paid and stuff like that. So maybe that's the more like complex part out of it. And also like just finding actors that want to collaborate with you, knowing they're actually like all the actors I've worked with for this movie were so nice and so talented, but it's more like their agency that usually they don't want them to like participate to projects like that. So it was kind of like, yeah, it was intense just to reunite everybody first.
Yeah, I totally understand. I also do the short film thing, and it's sometimes, you know, a lot of passion in order to bring them to the screen. I don't want to wrap it up too quickly, but I know that we don't have a ton of time. Let's just, one brief thing. What's the sort of one message you want people to take from your film?
Uh, I'm not sure I really have a message. It's a movie about like the contempt of the political class on normal people, and how like their like demagogy can like sometimes be like if they were enjoying their moment with normal people and being nice, but it's actually pretty fake. But there's no message. I really want to bring back a bit of like a social class cleavage. Um, and I thought it was like really not in the movies, the short movies I was seeing like in the last years. So it was kind of maybe of more an intention than a message.
Well, fair enough, fair enough. It definitely comes across as a political comedy, and it's a lot of fun. And I thank you for sharing it with our viewers. Allison, same sort of question to you. What do you want people to take from your film?
Well, I guess just going back a little, I always used to look and watch at music videos, and something I always noticed. I used to collect them actually when I was younger and edit them a lot, and then I would bring all my friends over to watch sequences of music videos. And one thing I always looked for when I was collecting music videos was that, you know, the visuals and the sound were in sync with one another. And it really bothered me when it wasn't in sync, because it just didn't do anything for me. And I'd find that incredibly frustrating. So I love this project because it really gave me an opportunity to make a visual piece that really in some ways for the viewer might be totally in sync visually with the sound, and they're going to recognize like maybe even something on a subconscious level that just makes sense when they see the film. So it's my second film. So the Above the Luge was the first film. That was the other music composer. So it's still very like rough and experimental. So I think that there's something about that too, that people will appreciate the kind of like messiness of it too.
And Dean, did you want to say something before we wrap this up?
Well, just it was a pleasure working with Allison. You know, COVID wrecked everything, especially in the fine and performing arts. We all get that. But this project is, if I can put it this way, a positive outcome of COVID. I don't think we would have been had the time or the energy or the resources to dedicate to this. It's a considerable amount of time that all the collaborators have put in. And so I just really appreciate the opportunity to work with everybody here. I agree with Allison that this project would, you know, was put together in a very special way. And to me, as I work through this project is a little bit about human perception, and that people need to understand that everybody perceives things differently, and that's a good thing. It makes the world a better place. So it's good to never assume that you know someone's story. And this whole project has reminded me of the importance of trying to understand something from someone else's perspective. It's been a fascinating process, and I feel very fortunate to have a chance to work with everybody on this project. It's been great. The Saskatoon Jazz Orchestra will be performing this live with a guest artist, Larnell Lewis, who is a Grammy Award-winning drummer. That performance is on June 17th, and we'll be live streaming it, and we'll be playing it right in sync with the video, and we'll be showing the video live. Then, and people can go to saskatoonjazzorchestra.com to watch that performance. Thank you.
That sounds terrific. I want to thank everyone for, again, all of the hard work that goes into making these short films. I don't think people can really appreciate that until they've gone through the process. So thanks again for sharing your films with the Canadian Film Fest, and thanks for taking time to chat with us.
Sit back, relax, witness the greatest. It don't get better than this.